Hey everybody, it's Mike Jeffers. This is episode 89 of Jazz This Week, live at Johnny O's. Today on the show, we have Andrew Distel. We are here. He is talking about his new CD. He's got a release show coming up January 20th, so let's get into it. All right, we are back here. Jazz This Week, episode 89. Thanks for watching as usual. Andrew, as I ask all my guests, have you ever done a jazz talk show in a hot dog stand?
This is my first one.
I know I'm going to find somebody that has done one. I don't know what they're going to be like, but I'm going to find somebody. We're going to talk a little bit about this new release. It only takes time. Many of you probably know Andrew. He's been around town for many, many years. Not many, many years, maybe just many years.
Longer than I think.
But he's had steadies. He's performed throughout the entire area, I'm sure throughout the entire country as we get into this whole discussion. But this new release, I'll tell you, I listened to it, and it's got a lot of my favorite tunes out here, but you're doing them in a different way. Mm-hmm. So I want to find out about that. And before we get into any of that, let's talk a little bit about your background as a vocalist and trumpeter.
Yeah. So
and multi-instrumentalist.
Right. Well, I grew up in Cincinnati.
Okay.
And my first instrument was my voice.
Oh, okay.
You know, sang choirs, a lot of performances in musicals and things like that. And then in 5th grade, picked the trumpet, started studying it there. Went to school down at CCM, University of Cincinnati. And then the migration of all the Cincinnati people.
I was going to ask if you were down there with Petra and with Andy and with Joe and Paulo Castro.
All those guys. So we all moved up here. And I moved up here with Brian Schwab.
Okay,
a great trumpet player and recording engineer, who also co-produced the record here.
Okay.
And also to keep it Cincinnati-based a little bit, Giroux Jazz is Joe's label, who's fellow Cincinnatian.
Yep.
But
I knew I recognized that label, Joe Paulo Castro.
So anyway, moved up here to do a master's degree at Roosevelt, studying with Jennifer Barnes. Mm-hmm. And then I stayed here. I've been in the scene ever since.
When you were first kind of starting off, was it choirs? Was it that kind of stuff? I mean, because back, that's kind of usually how everybody gets started vocally, right?
Right. Well, yeah, and then I think I was in high school, and Harry Connick Jr. started to get popular. And I don't know, it was probably because I wanted to impress a girl or something. But I started learning those tunes because it was cool for a guy singer to be singing these tunes. Because,
I never thought of that, but you're right, because Harry Connick was coming out. He had that funk group kind of thing, and then of course he had his New Orleans stuff and all that. And I never have thought about Harry, but yeah, he was really hot.
But before that, before the funk group and everything, he was in It Had to Be You on the tune It Had to Be You in When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, that's right.
And it was huge, and so I got to learn that tune because everybody knows it. And
right.
It was right in my wheelhouse. So I started that was kind of my entry into the jazz world, I guess. And then I went from there. I was like, well, who does Harry sound like, and who does he dig? And so
started going backwards.
Right.
Well, really, I mean, it sounds like you were in high school when this was going on, and then early college, kind of. So I mean, you've been singing jazz for a long time. So that's like your first love, I would say.
Yeah, and then I was also studying trumpet as well.
Okay.
And I studied with Pat Harbison, who's now down at Indiana University. Mm-hmm. But I started studying with him in high school, and then I went to the conservatory where he was the teacher as well.
I'm talking about trumpet, talking about voice, the similarities between the two. I mean, obviously Louis Armstrong, but I mean, there's a lot of different trumpeters, I think, that sing. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like you're playing both instruments the same, right? I mean, you're phrasing and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they inform each other, for me at least. Mm-hmm. I play I think of myself as a lyrical player. I phrase like a singer, and then my singing is informed by my trumpet playing as well. So I tend to sing like an instrumentalist. So I don't know. It's kind of a hybrid.
So. You're in college, you move up to Chicago, you go to Roosevelt, you get done at Roosevelt, you're going to be a famous jazz trumpet singer now.
Sell tens of records. It'll be amazing.
Well, hey,
Right.
So you get out. I mean, did you have an ed degree, or did you get out with a performance degree, or?
I did have an ed degree,
Okay.
and I didn't want to do anything with it. I just kind of wanted to come out of school with something.
It's your fallback position, right?
Right, but at the same time, I really love teaching. You know, I love teaching kids. I've always been a private lesson teacher, and so going through that has really helped. And I've drawn on it a lot over the years. You get thrust into situations. I mean, that's one of the things I love about this business we're in is you get thrown into these weird things, and can you do it?
Right.
And so you get thrown into a classroom with 30 kids, and in a couple weeks you have to make them sing something. Like, okay, I'll do that.
So are you teaching? Because I know from here you're going to, you've got a class, you've got to teach. Are you
Right.
teaching like private lessons and group classes, or?
I have a private lesson studio up in Evanston. I
Okay.
teach a lot of trumpet students, but today I'm teaching through Ravinia. They
Oh,
have
okay, yeah,
an artist in residency program.
yeah.
So I go out into the Chicago public schools and put on a residency for between 5 and 15 weeks. And so today I've got 2 classrooms down the street. And
Yeah. How long have you been doing that? That program was started by Ramsey, right? Ramsey Lewis, I think, years ago.
yeah, there are a few different arms of this.
Okay.
And I think he started the one that was performance. He would bring jazz
okay.
into the schools. So
Okay.
like Pat Mallinger does that, I know. But the thing I do is I go out into the schools. Let's say I'll go out for 5 weeks, and I'll see these kids once a week for an hour. And at the end of the time, we put on a show at the school. Then at the end of the year, we take them up to Ravinia, and we do a show up at
wow.
at the hall up there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a beautiful program.
That's incredible. And
Yeah.
otherwise they wouldn't have anything like this in that school, right?
Most of the schools do not have a music program, so we're kind of providing a vital resource, I think.
It's amazing. Okay, now before we get into talking about Andrew's new CD, do you have a package or something that you brought? You're talking about YouTube and
Yes, so my kids are way into the whole YouTube thing, and when they found out that this video was going to be on YouTube, I thought, yeah, I'm trying to help you out here.
help me out, man. I need
'Cause
all the
if
help
you
I
want-
can on YouTube.
If you want like, over 1 million views.
So this is going to get me a
This will
million
get you
views?
1 million views. I'm going to open this package, or I was also have like I've got 6 cats, 6 kittens
In there?
in my car.
Oh, well, that'll get us a million
So,
views. So
I
if
can
this
go get
doesn't,
them.
well, we'll film both.
But, okay, but you might need to zoom in on this.
You have like a snake in there or something?
So today I have a box, and I'm gonna open it. This is how captivating all this stuff is.
It
This
is.
It's like,
It is.
so I'm opening it. Okay, some tape there. Some tape
Why do I have a
here.
feeling something's going to come flying out of this thing?
And there's tape everywhere on this. And oh my goodness, look at this. What is Oh,
It's not a kitten. So let's talk a little bit about this new album, or a lot about this new album. So it only takes time. Now, what release is this? Because you've got a couple other ones out, right?
Well, as a leader, this is my second.
Okay.
And the first one came out 10 years ago.
Has it been that long?
It's been that long.
Wow.
And then I was like, oh, I'm going to do another one right away. And so about 7 years ago, I went into the studio
Okay.
up at Victorian Recording.
Oh,
up
yeah,
in
Josh,
Barrington.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Josh Richter. Fabulous job. And so, yeah, it took 7 years.
You know, so this is like this thing you started 7 years ago?
Yeah, 7 years. But, you know, I brought in some ringers, and these things take time and money.
Okay, so let's talk about this. You know, the one thing that jumped right out to me, aside from the fact that you have, I hear strings on here, I hear, you know, on certain tracks, but just like right off the bat, a couple of these tunes, well, Speak Low just hit me this morning because I had it on in the background. You're doing it in a different way than most people are doing it, right? It's a great way. and I never even thought of doing it this way. So, I mean, what was your inspiration for coming up with the repertoire, and also kind of the each tune seems like it's different than the next?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was looking at a lot of different records for inspiration, and also looking at the programming of the record, seeing tempos, keys, styles, like how varied is this stuff, but still maintaining a cohesive presentation of one artistic idea. And so I don't know, I didn't want anything too crazy and bombastic. I wanted to keep things sort of mellow. At the time, I just had a kid. Life was a little crazy.
And bombastic.
A lot of things happening. So, I don't know, this might have been a reaction to how hectic the life was, something a little more subdued and relaxed. And so, like, the first track, I also was, one of the things I'm always trying to work on is how to play in like mixed meters and things. And so, like, on the first track, I'm changing the time signature a little bit, and just like a few things like that help me to grow a little bit, and also make it a little bit different than other people have.
And what was your motivation to bring in strings? I mean, you've got on a couple of those tunes, you've got a string section coming in.
Yeah, I just love that sound.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't go wrong. I called Jim Galleretto, who is an amazing musician.
He's the best, man.
So, like, he's the only guy I wanted to do, and he was down. And so it was interesting because we had this concept, talking with Brian Schwab and also Bob Bowker, who co-produced as well. We would sit down and just say, for these ballads, it would be nice if we had strings. And so in the recording session, the strings came in afterwards. So that was really cool to have the rhythm section. We'd say, we're going to add strings later, so be sparse.
Right, yeah.
And it was amazing because if you didn't know it, you wouldn't know that these sessions happened at two different times.
No, it sounds like it all works together. And the other thing I like about the strings is that sometimes when you hear albums with strings, it's just, for me as a listener, too much strings.
Right.
It can be overwhelming, which isn't bad, but when you're getting like a jazz recording, to me, I don't want to be overwhelmed with strings, because now to me it's taking away from everything. On this, I think that it's put in there at the right times, and it just really adds to it rather than like encompasses the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, that first time that the strings come in Alfie, it sneaks in so slowly, and before you realize it, like, oh, there's a giant string section there. But it doesn't overwhelm the tune.
And that's probably a credit to you guys, but also Jim Galleretto's writing and arranging, right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It is perfect.
Yeah. All right, so tell us about the jazz release, which is coming up January 20th at Fulton Street Collective.
Fulton Street Collective.
Right there at 1821 West Hubbard. Very cool spot. Who's on it? Tell us what they can expect to hear.
Well, we're going to be doing tunes from the record.
Wow, really?
I know. Can you believe it? So
you going to have the strings there, too?
No strings for this one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's
hard to get everybody in there, yeah. I know.
But, working on getting that in the future.
Sure.
Maybe some grants and things like that will enable that.
Yeah.
But Raphael Crawford on trombone, Brian Schwab on trumpet, Leonard Simpson on saxophone, John Prue, who is a recent transplant back to the Midwest.
Okay.
John Prue was here for a long time in Chicago and moved out to L.A. For a while. But he was my roommate for a while back in the day. So we've been good friends for a long time. So he's coming in to play piano on this, and Christian Dillingham on bass.
Yep.
And Jeremy Cunningham on drums.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it starts at 8:30 to 11:30. Is that what I have right?
Yeah, we'll do a couple sets in there, and
can they buy tickets ahead of time, or is it just right at the door?
Show up at the door. We'll be waiting for you.
All right, Andrew, thank you for coming in. I am glad you made it. Now I've got to do my 3 picks of the week. We talked about this before, But I have to do my disclaimer because I want to make sure everybody knows that these are my 3 picks of the week. So if you're a casual music fan, you are somebody coming into Chicago, you are somebody that enjoys music and are unsure of where to go and who to see, these are my 3 picks that I think you will not be disappointed in checking out. So we're going to start off right off the bat. Orbert Davis. You and I were talking about this before. This was actually going to be one of your picks as well.
Pick.
So we're kind of combining it. Well, what can I say? I'm at a hot dog stand, man. You know. Orbert Davis Quintet at the Green Mill on Friday and Saturday. So everybody can go on Friday to see Orbert Davis.
Go on Friday, and you can go late on Saturday.
That's right. They can get over there.
Get up there.
Yeah, they can drive real fast, no problem. So Friday, Saturday, Orbert Davis Quintet at the Green Mill. Don't miss it. Orbert's smoking. It's very rare that he's performing with a small group because usually he's doing the Chicago Jazz Philharmonic. So check it out. Green Mill, Friday and Saturday night. All right, let's move over to Winter's Jazz Club. I know I always talk about Winter's Jazz Club, but I'm telling you, this is a spot. If you have not checked out, you've got to check it out. They are in Streeterville. Have you been over to Winter's yet?
Yeah, I played there last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome spot, isn't it?
Great place.
It's very intimate, too, which is nice, which is something that you don't normally get. And it's almost like a throwback little intimate jazz club that you don't get downtown anymore. You know, it's a lot of touristy things, but this is somewhere where you can listen and have really good cocktails. And on Tuesday night, Spider Saloff, the great vocalist Spider Saloff, she's going to be performing there. So this is a great chance to see Spider. It is Tuesday, January 23rd, right there at Winters. Last pick of the week. These guys are on January and February at Andy's Jazz Club. Spare Parts, they are tearing it up over there. Great grooving band. You probably know some of the guys, right?
Yeah.
Killing band. Every Thursday night in January and February, Andy's Jazz Club, 11 East Hubbard. If you have not been to Andy's, by the way, you need to check that out. Plus, they have food there. You can go there for the 5 o'clock sets, and then they do the 9:30 to 1 set. So, Andy's Jazz Club, Spare Parts, every Thursday night, January, February. Okay, of course, all the information is at chicagojazz.com for any of these shows. Of course, see Andrew Saturday night, January 20th. And as I always say, if I don't see you somewhere around town this weekend, hopefully I will see you somewhere out on the scene.